The first decade this century began in the wake of boy bands and nu metal, so no one truly knew which sounds and bands would break out this time around. Well, the scene became a widely used and misused phrase, and bands decided to become more egalitarian. Keep watching for more on both points, as our list of the top scene vocalists from the 2000s covers a plethora. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to APTV and turn on all notifications so you never miss a video. And check out the link in the description to the Spotify playlist featuring all of the artists on this list. 18 best scene vocalists from the 2000s. Anthony Green, Circa Survive. This band shouldn't be huge by any stretch. Circa Survive are quite niche, unconventional, and the opposite of accessible. But Green is a fucking star, and his angelic voice is his calling card. He quit his old band Seosin before they signed with one of the biggest conglomerates in the world to start a band with his friends from home for a much smaller label. The gamble paid off, and no one acted appalled. Brendon Urie, Panic at the Disco. Panic at the Disco organically grew from being the annoyingly overachieving and rambunctious standout kid brother Prodigy opener on various punk rock tours into the grandiose headlining orchestral pop force that they are today. A transition like this would have been impossible without theatrical, by definition, vocalist Brendon Urie at the band's helm. Few other bands have singers that make just as much sense on Broadway as they do on Fueled by Ramen compilation playlists. In fact, some argue that he makes even more sense on Broadway, but Urie and Panic hit the ground running with their theater roots loud and proud on their 2005 debut album, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out. Here's to another 15 years of scene and global domination. Cove Reber, Seosin. In a story almost too similar to the underrated 2001 Mark Wahlberg and Jennifer Aniston film Rockstar, Seosin fan Cove Reber replaced the imitable aforementioned Green as vocalist for the band only a year before they signed to Capitol Records. Admittedly, Reber had huge shoes to fill, as evidenced by Green's newer band Circa Survive's cult-like popularity afterward, but fill them he did, as their 2006 album debuted at number 22 on the Billboard 200. Reber's rich high vocals were certainly extremely attributable to the band's success. Craig Owens, Chiodos. Sometimes bands on smaller stages outdid main stage acts on Warped Tour. This could certainly be said about Chiodos' brief run on the Smart Punk stage in 2006. By the following year, the band were one of the most popular acts on the main stage, rightfully earning their spot with Blood and Sweat, and Craig Owens was the godfather of the scene. Owens' high tenor and growl certainly inspired many of the Risecore bands set to blow up the following decade. Derek Sanders and Jason Lancaster, Mayday Parade. Mayday Parade canvassed outside of 2006's Warped Tour and sold 10,000 copies of their debut EP, Tales Told by Dead Friends, to strangers, who then became lifelong fans. The next summer, the band played some dates on the tour, and 1 year later, they were on the full run. It's a true rags to riches story, and the back-and-forth melodic banter of co-lead vocalists Derek Sanders and Jason Lancaster on said EP and the band's follow-up full-length, A Lesson in Romantics, took the alternative world hostage. It was such a storm that the band, despite the fact that they've released 5 quality albums since, will never stop getting questions about Lancaster, who left the band just after Romantics was finished. Dustin Kensrue, Thrice. Try your hardest to properly categorize this genre-bending band. You just can't. Thrice are on a stage and festival of their own. The band are 10 albums into their 20-plus year career, and singer-guitarist Dustin Kensrue's literate, multifaceted, and emotional vocals add a weight unrivaled. Thrice are capable of playing heavy music more brutal and technical than most of their peers in the hardcore scene, and the four-piece proved such with their earlier records that coincided with the rise of screamo. But the band perfectly played the long game, avoided being boxed into purely one lane, and earned their Radiohead Evolution comparisons by proving that they could also effectively write more hauntingly melodic, somber music than your favorite band on Coachella on subsequent releases. Jeff Rickley, Thursday. It's tough to record one album that causes an effect and inspires a movement, but Thursday created 4 between 2000 and 2009. It's a shame that the band only made one more record during the next decade before hanging their hats. Thankfully, we will always have Thursday's loud legacy, and we will sometimes have sporadic show announcements. Jeff Rickley can easily be accredited as one of the leaders of the post-hardcore screamo movement that truly took flight at the turn of this century. Gerard Way, My Chemical Romance. Sometimes bands need to keep touring to get bigger. My Chemical Romance proved that the opposite could also be true after they ended their hiatus last year. Gerard Way isn't just a frontman or a singer. He's a fucking icon. Every single move he makes, word he says, phrase he utters, and creation he draws gets some form of major underground press coverage. Way's vocals are the perfect complement to My Chemical Romance's aggressive blend of punk, hardcore, metal, and rock. And it's hard to imagine this century's alternative music scene without humming along to one of his band's many popular tracks. Hayley Williams, Paramore. For the past 15 years, as her band have gotten bigger and bigger, she's been synonymous with undisputable, pristine vocal talent across the globe. Paramore have made 5 completely different yet extremely successful full-lengths in the rock world, and Williams' indie-leaning debut solo LP, Petals for Armor, is already breaking records. Regardless of your feelings on her new material, or when Paramore will return, you will be listening. Justin Pierre, Motion City Soundtrack. Singer-guitarist Justin Pierre of Motion City Soundtrack has been belting quirky, chaotic tunes that appeal to both Weezer superfans and Punk-O-Rama compilation owners since 1997. MCS are a lyrically driven band who manage to reference the goofiest shit without leaning into comical Weird Al territory. But clever lyrics alone don't earn you a spot on this list, and Pierre's vocal prowess often gets drowned out by the band's catchy keyboard sounds. Just know this: Pierre can sing and sing well. Kenny Vassily, The Starting Line. Kenny Vassily was just 14 years old when he joined The Starting Line in 1999, and in high school when they signed to revered pop-punk screamo label Drive-Thru Records. As the bassist and vocalist had the perfect combination of grit and vocal proficiency to adequately sell every single lyric like a grown-ass man. While many former scene kids still currently attempt to do the best of me on a daily basis at a karaoke bar, no one can sing the track like Mr. Vassily. Lacey Sturm, Flyleaf. Although she left the band for New Horizons after the band's 3rd LP, Lacey Sturm fronted Flyleaf to platinum sales from seemingly out of nowhere. 5 seconds into the band's self-titled debut LP, Sturm showcased her sweet and demure side on I'm So Sick, with pristine, clean vocals over a distorted bass guitar that was just low enough in the mix for her soft voice to pop. 13 seconds later, she proved that she wasn't playing around in any way, shape, or form, and that she could scream as effectively as her male counterparts. And scream she did, all over the record. Patrick Stump, Fall Out Boy. Stump's soulful, R&B tinged vocals helped bring pop-punk to TRL. Fall Out Boy broke out of the underground in a more than solid fashion with 2005's From Under the Cork Tree, and continued to evolve with each subsequent release, while exponentially expanding their fan base. Plus, every day feels like a Saturday when you're listening to Stump croon. Spencer Chamberlain and Aaron Gillespie, Under Oath. Few bands excelled at utilizing 2 different lead singers half as well as Under Oath. Spencer Chamberlain joined the band for their 4th and breakout album, They're Only Chasing Safety. Chamberlain's screams are more melodic and diverse than a majority of his contemporaries, and lately he's been utilizing his post-sleepwave singing to Under Oath's advantage as well. Hard-hitting drum legend Aaron Gillespie complements Chamberlain with clean and pure vocals that definitely left a major mark on the mid-2000s. When Gillespie left the band, something was melodically missing from 2010's Disambiguation. Thankfully, both vocalists are together again, and they can now add Grammy nominated to the band's illustrious resume. Wade McNeal and Dallas Green, Alexis on Fire. Dallas Green's hypnotically beautiful vocals and solid rhythm guitar playing acted as an extreme contrast to Wade McNeal's brutal screams and intricate guitar leads. Just days after the band broke up, McNeal announced he was officially replacing Frank Carter as the vocalist for the Heavy as Fuck Gallows, and Green started a mellow as fuck project called City and Color.